All right, you guys. Okay, well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our year-end call here for 2014. I am super, super excited to be sharing this topic with you guys because it's really my passion is building a team. So before we do that, I want to make sure that everybody who's on the phone, you want to grab a piece of paper and a pencil. This is not a call you want to just listen to because I'm actually going to be giving you a lot of details as to what I did to grow my business. And for those of you who are on the call, maybe for the first time, welcome. This is a call that we've been doing for many years, 2 years now, well, many years, 2 years now. And so for those of you, let's go ahead and get started on the topic. It's going to be a very detailed call. What I want you guys to start doing is we're going to, can I say this? We're going to tie in the last 4 weeks. What we have been doing is that we have been going through a process of establishing goals, establishing mindful, conscious goals, and then developing a strategy to achieving them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap the winning formula because the winning formula is going to tie in completely to today's call, okay? So just a refresher, the winning formula consisted of 3 steps. And anytime you have success, have experienced success in your life, no matter what it is, whether it's school, career, relationships, anything, these 3 things have been in play. Number 1, you had a vision, and not just a vision, but you had a laser vision. In other words, this is something that you really focused on. So, for example, if you're in school and you're about to have an exam, okay, and you're like really laser focused on study, all right? So, number 1 is to have the laser vision, and we have talked for 4 weeks now about what it would look like. What does your vision look like for the 4 areas of your life? So number 1, what does your vision look like for your body, for your spirituality, for your relationship, and for your business? So I'm not going to go through details. You guys want to go back and listen to those calls, you can register to the email to get it to emails, and you want to go to latinleadership.com, and every Wednesday I send out an email with the month's calls. So you want to go ahead and do that because this Wednesday I'm sending this month's calls, and starting January, we're going to be sending January calls, okay? So you're going to be missing out on that. So if you guys have not done the homework on establishing your goals, I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to do that before tomorrow because we're going to be stepping into the new year here in a few days. So number 1 is what is your vision? And you want to have a laser vision, okay? Number 2, what is the strategy? So anytime you've accomplished anything in your life, not only have you had a vision, you had a laser vision, but you've had a strategy behind it. And today we're going to talk about a strategy for your team, okay? And then number 3, you've had massive action. You've taken massive action, okay? So those are the 3 things that have been in play. Anytime that you have accomplished anything in your life, those 3 things have been completely in sync, okay? So why I'm bringing that up is because today we're going to talk about how do you now build momentum with your team. I am about to give you guys my secret recipe, if you will. What I'm about to share with you guys, I did in every step that I've ever grown in my business. I put this in play. So in other words, when I was, in our business, we have, these different levels, right? So when I was a supervisor, I did this with a few people, and that month I did over $13,000 worth of business in the last 2 weeks, and that qualified me to world team. I continued this process for the next 3 months, which qualified me to get team. In April, I saw that my royalties were starting to increase. In the beginning of May, I'll never forget, May 12th to be exact, I did this exact same thing. That month, I did my first Tip to Millionaires team, and then I did it again in January 2009, and 6 months later, I was qualified press team. So I know without a shadow of a doubt that this absolutely works. And the reason is because the winning formula is in full effect. So what you want to make sure, as you take notes, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do before, like pre-work, what you're going to do during the meeting of your strategy plan with your team, and then what are you going to do afterwards, okay? So here we go. So the first thing you're going to do, you want to write this down in your notes, and that is pre-work, okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to go back and you want to start looking at your organization. Now, If you have 2 people, that is your organization. If you have 200 people, that is your organization, okay? So it doesn't matter how big or small your team is. You can do this with 1 or 2 people, and I recommend that you do this for yourself, okay? But the first thing you want to do as far as pre-work is you want to look back at your organization, and you want to start looking at who in your team is somebody that you see that wants it. You see, everybody says that they want to get to the next level. Everybody says that they want to make more money. Everybody says that they want a better body. You know, we all have these desires, but really very few people actually put effort into them, right? Like, you know, this New Year's, everyone's going to make all kinds of resolutions, and I really hope that if you guys have done the work for the last 4 weeks and being mindful about what your visions are going to be for 2015. But most people, they just like shout it out, like, oh, I'm going to lose weight, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But number one, they don't even put any thought into it. They don't put any no plan, no strategy. So their chances of actually accomplishing them are very slim to none, because it's just something that they're like wishful thinking, right? That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm saying here is who of your team has a desire and is showing effort. In other words, they're going to the meetings, they're going to the training. They're actually, maybe they're not producing as much as they could, but they're producing something. Because some people go to meetings but then do nothing afterwards, right? Some people go to meetings and then you see their statements of their production and they've got all these zeros for the whole year, right? So that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about who of your team you want to go back and you want to look at, okay, who can I count on? Who wants it and who has shown it that wants it, right? So that's the pre-work. Once you do that, you're going to make a list of all those people that you know want it, okay, and they're showing effort towards it. Then you're going to call them up and you're going to do a strategic meeting with them. You're going to give them a call, and what you're going to say is the following. You're going to say, like, let's say you call Mary. You say, hey, Mary, good morning, whatever, right? Hey, how's your New Year going? Blah, blah, blah. Say, listen, Mary, I am laser focused in this year, 2015, to get to the next level. So you might say, I'm laser focused to get to Millionaires Team by Extravaganza, or President's Team by Extravaganza, or Get Team by Extravaganza. And I'm putting a plan together, and I'm selecting a handful of people that I see that want it and that want to get to the next level, and you are on that list. Of course, you stay quiet, and they're going to be like, oh, my God, that's so awesome. Yes, I totally want to do it. Or they might say, thank you, right? Anyhow, at any rate, so then once they say, so what do you think? And they go, yeah, absolutely. Okay, go, great. So listen, this Tuesday at, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to meet here at my house, and we're going to do a strategy plan. So I want you to come, but I want you to come prepared with the following. I want you to start thinking about these next questions. Like, why are you doing this business? And you want to have them write this down, right? Why are you doing this business? What do you want? Like, what do you want for this year, 2015? And number 3, what do you feel is missing? Okay, so you want to give them pre-work, okay? You want them to come to your house or wherever you're going to meet prepared, all right? Now, that's also going to tell you, those that come prepared and those that don't, it's going to tell you a lot about them, right? Anyway, so you give them a little bit of homework. So then you say, okay, Mary, I see you Tuesday at 6 o'clock. All right, so then you do that with everybody. Now, so that's the pre-work. Now that you're actually at the meeting, you're going to do the following, okay? So I hope you guys got all that down. So now when you're at the meeting, what you want to make sure you have is you want to make sure you have like a whiteboard or a white piece of paper on the wall, something where you can write, okay? Then you also want to make sure you have any promotions or anything that you want to, that will help them with their plan. And I'm going to explain what that means in a little bit here. So now let's go to the second step, which is the actual event, okay? So during the meeting, you're going to do the following. You're going to have everybody sit down, where kind of in a circle fashion, okay? If it's in your living room, you still have people on the couch, on the chairs on the side. You do not want it to be classroom style or anything like that. This is not a formal setting. This is very we want to bond everybody as a team. You want to make sure that everybody can see each other's faces, okay? So then what you're going to do is you're going to have everybody look, facing each other, in a big circle. And then you, as the person that's going to be conducting the meeting, want to do the following. You're going to let them know, say, listen, we're going to have some ground rules here. First of all, we want to make sure that we have the safe space to share and to talk. So rule number 1, that everything that is said in this meeting will stay in this house. Do you guys agree with that? And then you get everybody to agree. Number 2 is that we are not going to judge anybody here. Today we're going to be talking about what we want and our challenges. And sometimes those challenges could be a little embarrassing to share. So we want to make sure that we provide a safe space and nobody's going to judge anybody. Okay? So you guys agree with that? Yeah. Okay. And lastly, everything stays in this room again. Okay? And once everybody agrees, you say, okay, great. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover these 6 questions. And now you can put them up on the board for them to see, all right? Or you can just read them off your notes, whatever it is that you want to do. But the point is, you're going to grab one person from your team, and they're going to be your model, okay? You're going to work the most with the very first person because they will serve as an example of what you want the rest of them to be answering, okay? And you let them know, say, okay, so who wants to go first? And whatever brave soul raises their hand, okay, you're going to say, okay, great. So listen, John, all right, you're going to be the lucky one because we're actually going to take some time in asking these questions, and I want you to make sure you answer them as consciously as you possibly can. Now, the rest of you guys, the rest of the team, the rest of you guys, I want you guys to pay attention because I'm asking John, but really I'm asking you all. And I want you to don't worry about anything. Just be present because we're going to be asking you 6 questions to every single one of you, okay? But we're going to take some time with John here to show you guys exactly what it is that we're doing. All right, so here we go. Question number 1. John, okay, just go to 6 questions. Question number 1, why are you doing this business? What is your why? What do you want? What do you see yourself accomplishing, okay? So in other words, what's your vision for this business, okay? What do you want? Why are you doing this business? Now, you guys, I have to warn you a little bit, okay? The first time that somebody does this, they feel vulnerable, so they're going to have very superficial answers. So it's going to be like, oh, I want to have a better lifestyle. I really want to buy a house or, stuff like that, And those are valid reasons, but they're not like deep enough, okay? So you don't devalue their stuff. You just say, okay, great. So tell me, what does that mean for you? How would I have a lifestyle for my children? Great. What does that mean for you? Or I want to say, you know what? I want to live a better life and have a better place to live. Okay, great. What does that look like? So in other words, you guys, the mentors, you want to make sure that your questions, that their answers, when they answer, you ask a deeper question. So if you guys remember back at the sales experience calls that we did, we talked about how to go deep with people. This is what I'm talking about, okay? So you want to make sure you ask them, okay, so what does that mean? What does that look like? And you ask them questions to make sure that until you don't stop, until you get an emotion out of them. I am known to make people cry when I ask them this question because I really, I dig deep. And then after they've answered whatever they've answered, if I still haven't gotten any emotional response from them, I will pause. I will look at them straight in the eye, and then I will say, John, seriously, if you had no limits economically and time, what would you want? Who would you help? What would you do? What would your life stand for? Like, seriously, John, why? I look them straight in the eye. Why are you doing this business? And then they'll say, and by then, most of the time they start crying, and they'll say, oh, I want to help my parents, and I want to buy my parents a house, or they'll say like, oh, you know what, I'm sick and tired of not being able to give my children the things that they want, and, you do not interrupt them. And here's the thing, if somebody starts crying, nobody is to get up and go and pat them in the back and hug them, none of that. You've got to let them sit with their emotions. It's so important because during that process, they're anchoring things in their nervous system. And if somebody comes and hugs them, they interrupt that pattern. So you want to make sure you just let them, soak in their sorrow and let them cry, okay? So, sometimes they'll get really emotional. Now, if somebody doesn't want to go deep, you can tell, no need to push, okay? But you just want to make sure that you get an emotional connection, like what they really want, like that thing that you see that fire in their eyes. They might not cry, but they might have that burning fire in their eyes. That's good, okay? So then you move on to the next question. So number 1 is, why are you doing your blood? That one's going to take the longest. The rest of them are fast, okay? So number 1, why? What is your why? Number 2, what is your goal for 2015? Now, if they did their homework, they'll come ready with that, right? So number 2, what is your goal for 2015? Now, they might say something like, I want to, save $200,000, or they might say something like, I want to get to the next level, then you're going to say, okay, what is that for you? Okay, Get Team. Great. Do you know what it takes to get to Get Team? Okay, and they're going to say, they'll say, I want to, buy a house this year. Great. Where do you want to buy it? So you want to get specific. Okay, if their goals for 2015, if it's very specific, like I want to get to President's Team by Extravaganza. Great. Do you know what it's going to take for you to get there? Like, what is the volume? What are the requirements? And you will be surprised how many people don't even know the requirements to qualify. They want something, but they don't even know what it takes to get it. So, you want to make sure not to ridicule them and then say, okay, sweetheart, how much does it take to get to milking? They'll say 80,000. And you're going to say, no. So make sure you have your Herbalife books with you. Say, look, here it says in the manual, to get to Millionaire's Team, royalties of $4,000 3 months in a row. All right? So what that means is not 80,000. You have to get a royalty check of 4,000. And then it might say something like, well, doesn't 80,000 give me 4? Yeah, but it might not, because there's roll-up. There's all kinds of factors in the marketing plan, which you don't need to get into, but you want to make sure that you say, okay, listen, that's going to be part of your homework, is get to know the marketing plan better, okay? So your goal for 2015 is really going to help you understand where they're at and what they want and if they're ready for that, okay, and what they're missing. All right, so number 1, what's your why? Number 2, what is your goal for 2015? Number 3, what is your goal for the next 90 days? What is your 90-day goal? Now, 2015, we're having a whole year, or maybe even 6-7 months from now, Extravaganza. But that's far away from now. So you want to make sure you bring it in. Okay, so now what is your goal for the next 3 months? What is your 90-day goal? And they might say something like, and this is why it's important that you have the promotions at hand, because if somebody says, okay, I want to qualify for the vacation, you got to know what volume that it requires. If someone says, I want to qualify, in January, we'll have the promotions for the leadership development weekend. So they might say, I want to qualify for VIP for the LDWs. So you want to have all that at hand, okay? Now, if you do this meeting before the promotions come out, okay, you can kind of look back at last leadership development promotion, and they're pretty much going to be the same, okay? So you want to make sure that you get you have that with you, okay? So then you say, what is your goal for the next 90 days? Now, they might say something like, I want to add more people to my team. And then you're going to say, okay, how many? And they're going to say, I want to add 6 supervisors in the next 90 days. Or they might say, I want to do, I'm going to do, I want to qualify for the VIP. So I want to do like 30,000 volume points in the next 90 days, okay? Whatever it is. So number 3 is, what is your goals for the next 90 days? Now, to get to number 4, what you're going to do is you're going to divide whatever they said per month. So if someone says, so number 4 is, what's your monthly goal? Okay, what's your goal for this month of January? So if they say something like, okay, I want to qualify 6 supervisors in the next 3 months, then you're going to say, okay, great. So that means you're going to qualify 2 supervisors a month. So that's your monthly goal for the next 90 days, right? Or if someone says, okay, I want to qualify VIP, and let's say the promotions are 30,000, you're going to say, okay, great. So that's 10,000 3 months in a row. So your monthly goal is 10,000. So I think you get the picture, okay? So number 4 is, what is your monthly goal? Number 5, what is your plan and strategy? What is your plan and strategy? And I want you to add there with details. Okay, what is your plan and strategy with details? Okay, what does that mean? Okay, so here's the thing. So many people have a plan, right? So if they think something like, okay, I want to qualify, 2 supervisors, and that's my monthly goal, and that's fine. But now here's the thing. The question is, how are you going to do that? Or I want to do 10,000 volume points. Great. The question is, what's your plan and what's your strategy to do that? Now, here you're going to also spend a little bit of time with them. And what you want to make sure that you do is that you ask them, okay, so let me tell you what I used to ask. So when someone would say, okay, I want to qualify 2 supervisors a month or 10,000 volume points or whatever, I'll say, okay, great. How do you plan to do that? And then they look at me like a deer with headlights, right? Like, I don't know. I say, okay, great. For example, then if they want to qualify supervisors or their volume, right, we need people for that. Then I would say, okay, so who do you have right now? Who are your top 5 clients that have phenomenal results that we could, present the business to, or that are showing interest in making some extra income, or that are bringing people that are giving you referrals, or you know what I mean? So who do you have that you know that we could call and talk to and perhaps, show them a vision of something that perhaps they're not even considering yet, but you know that they could do this. And so, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you ask them, like, okay, so what's your plan? Who do you have, right? Or if someone says, okay, I want to qualify active supervisor, in the next 3 months, so that means that they're going to do 2,500 volume points 3 months in a row. So your question is, okay, great. How do you plan to do that? And they're going to be like, what do you mean? Well, yeah, do you want to do some shake party? Are you going to, how many, how you're going to get clients? You're going to get a couple of, 500 volume points, senior consultants. You're going to do, tell me, what is your plan? And they might say something like, well, I want to get, two senior consultants, and then, that's 1,000 points, and then I'll resell the other 1,500. So I think you're getting the idea. You want to make sure that they have a plan and a specific strategy as to how they're going to accomplish this goal. Because by them just saying, I'm going to do 2 supervisors, but they don't have any clue on how they're going to accomplish it, again, it's like those people that make their New Year resolutions without a plan. It's the same thing. They're just wishing, okay? Wishful thinking. So you want to make sure, on number 1, you're going to spend a lot of time, and on number 5, you're going to spend a lot of time. So number 1, what's your why? Number 2, what's your goal for 2015? Number 3, what's your 90-day goal? Number 4, what is your monthly goal? Number 5, what is your plan and strategy with details? You want to underline that word, details. Like how, you got to put like a specific plan together. Like I'm going to get 2 senior consultants and, 10 clients or whatever, or I'm going to, I'm going to get 2 supervisors, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to invite 10 people at every HOM. My goal is to sign up 10 distributors. Out of those 10 distributors, I want to take at least 5 to the STS. Out of those 5 of them, the STS, 2 will qualify supervisor. Something like that. You've got to get down to the details. I'm telling you, you do this, it's going to pay off big time. And the reason why this is also important is because this is also going to allow you as a mentor, as their sponsor, to follow up with them as to what it is that they want to accomplish and how you can help them. All right? And then number 6, and this is a question that they're not going to know how to answer, but if they did their homework, they might have a clue, and that is, how can I help you? Okay, so number 6, how can I help you? Another way, if they kind of look at you like a deer with headlights, you might say something like, okay, what do you feel is missing? And they're going to look at you like, what do you mean? You go, well, yeah, like, okay, so, you want to qualify 2 supervisors. How do you feel about inviting people to the HOM? How do you feel about explaining the marketing plan? Do you feel that you're capable? Like, you feel confident? We can always do work on it, right? You can always get better, but do you feel pretty confident about explaining the marketing plan? And they might say something like, well, no, not really. And they go, okay, great. So write this down, John. Your next step is to learn the marketing plan. And then, oh, by the way, sorry, I forgot to tell you guys this. When you're doing these questions, whoever is their sponsor should be writing their answers down. So in other words, if I'm asking John, but if Bob is John's sponsor, Bob needs to be writing John's answers as well as John. So you want to make sure that you hold their sponsors accountable for what their downline is answering in that meeting. Now, if there isn't somebody, then you write their answers down. If they're your front line, then you write those questions down, okay? Those answers down. So, okay. So number 6 is how can I help you? And you want to start investigating, depending on their plan, okay, their number 5, their plan and their strategy, whatever it is that you help them determine what they need to do to accomplish their goal, you want to ask them how they feel about that. So, for example, if somebody wants to do 2,500 volume points and they want to do 2 senior consultants, then the question is, how do you feel about promoting the 500 volume points? And they go, well, yeah, no, I feel good about that. Okay, great. All right. Or someone might say, no, you know what, I'm not really clear how that works. All right, fantastic. That's your homework. You got to find out. You got to get all the details of how that works. And who's your sponsor? Mary. Mary, make sure John knows how to, the details of the senior consultant. So I think you get the idea, okay? So now, so number 1, what's your why? I did here. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. Laura, can you send me a text if you can hear me? I don't know what I pushed in this conference call. Okay, hopefully you guys are still with me here. Okay, so what was that? Okay, so number 1, what's your why? Number 2, hold on a second. Let me make sure you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yes.
Hey, you guys. Okay, so sorry about that. I don't know what I pushed. Anyway, so number 1, what's your why? Number 2, what's your goal for 2015? Number 3, what's your goal for the 90 days? Number 4, what is your monthly goal? Number 5, what is your plan and your strategy with details? And number 6, how can I help you? And then I would also put there, dig deep, okay? Make sure you understand that they understand their plan and their strategy, whatever it is that they want. Make sure that they understand what they need to do when they're planning their strategies, and if there's something missing, let's get them support, okay? So, and now here's the thing you might find. When I first did this, the very first time, I was a supervisor when I did this with like 5 people, or like less than that actually. Anyhow, I discovered that they wanted to make $500 extra a month. They were all distributors, okay? So one of the things that I found, I asked them, okay, how do you want to do it? They're like, I want to do shake parties. And then I asked them, how do you feel about doing shake parties? Do you feel capable? And they're like, no, not really. So I noticed that the one thing, or the biggest missing factor, rather than me doing a one-on-one with all of them, I noticed that at that moment in my business, what they needed to know is how to do shake parties. They needed to know how to package their story. So guess what? I said, listen, you guys, I could tell these are the topics that we really need to work on. So why don't we do this? Next time we meet, which is like the next Thursday, okay? We're gonna dig on these topics. I'm gonna show you how to do the button response. We're gonna practice your story, and we're gonna do a shake party here live. You know, and I remember my mom came over and helped us with this. You know, and we did like a live shake party. So they got to learn hands-on how to do all the 3 things that they were missing. When I was a Get team, I noticed that what they were missing is how to explain the marketing plan. So I remember we got together in this girl named Angelica's house in Vacaville, California, and I spent the entire Saturday digging deep on the marketing plan. So listen, you've got to make the investment if you want to duplicate, if you don't want to always be doing it for them, okay? So when I did that, it was massive, massive, massive results, okay? So now, to end the call, the post-event, what are you going to do after this meeting, okay? So I'm going to tell you what I used to do. So I had everybody's goals, everybody's, year goals, 90-day goals, but more importantly, I had their goals for the month. So let's say Bob said he wanted to do 10,000 volume points. Mary said she wanted to do 2,500 volume points, whatever it was, right? So I had a list of their goals. Every single Monday, okay, I would wake up and I would sit on my round table and I would literally call every single person on my team. I had a call every Monday at 8 o'clock in the evening, so I would call them with the excuse of reminding them about the call, and I would also call them to follow up on their goals. I wasn't like, hey, how's your volume going? I was like, hey, Mary, how are you doing with your goals? Oh my gosh, Carla, and then they say whatever they say, and then I'll help them with whatever it is that they need help in. Sometimes, they would say something like, oh, I wanted to do 2 senior consultants, and the people that I had in mind, one of them, his wife said she can't do the business, whatever, right? So I would say, okay, great. We're not attached to who does it. You've got to stay focused on the goal. So if your goal is 2 senior consultants and one of them that you had in mind no longer wants to do it, you say, no problem, let's move on. Who's next? Who else can we talk to? Who else do you have that has phenomenal results? So I would help them find a way out, because sometimes when you're in the problem, it seems bigger than you, right? So listen, just to conclude in the last couple seconds, I I really hope that you guys took notes. I'm telling you, I've literally just given you my secret sauce on how I have grown. Every single time I've done this, my business has grown, okay? So I'm telling you, this works if you work it. You got to also do follow-up with it afterwards. So once you do the plan and you follow up with them every single week, how are you doing? How are you doing with your goals? What are you missing? How can we help you? You stay on top of it. I'm telling you, their business is going to grow. Therefore, they're going to be so much more excited, right? And then your business is going to grow. And in conclusion, If they missed something the first month, let's say somebody said they wanted to do 2 supervisors a month, and somebody only did 1 supervisor in the month of January, the first week of February, you want to call them. You want to say, okay, great, let's look at January. What you do great? What could you change? And what do we need to adjust? So number 1, what you do great? What do we need to change? And what do we need to adjust? So if they only did 1 supervisor, they're 1 behind. So the month of February, they got to do 3 supervisors, and now we're going to adjust the plan, adjust the strategy on how they're going to do it. All right, you guys, it's 9:30, so let me go ahead and end the call and open up the lines for any questions or comments. So hang on a quick